Lighting is so important in video. Wait a second. Lights, camera, action. Today, we're gonna be reviewing the difference of wattage between 100 watts versus 200 watts in a nice continuous lighting. I've done a video similar to this beforehand, comparing the Amaran 100X to the 200X to showcase the difference in wattage between those two lights. I had somebody that raised a point that they wanted me to cover a little bit more in depth when it came down to the difference of wattage and intensity from the lighting of those lights. They wanted me to make sure to showcase a little bit more of the exposure compensation within the camera so that you can see how it's performing whenever I'm using the lights on a subject and in more controlled environment. I actually waited until it was a little bit more darker so we can have a very controlled environment as much as possible and try to get as much as I can the same way when I use both lights with the stand, so that it just showcases it whenever I have the settings of the camera the same way every time to show you what it's going to be performing like, so I can apply the same edit that I would do for both cameras whenever I have the settings of the footage itself in Premiere Pro. So we're gonna get to it and we're gonna see the difference of what each wattage can do. So I already have the 200X on the stand that I'm gonna be trying out to do it. And I kind of have my little setup right here to showcase the camera right here into this one, so you can see my wife sitting down over there in a second, so you can see how well it works or not, which one would be better for you. So my goal, in just to kind of explain how I'll be setting it all up in the sense of post-production after when I edit it, is I'm gonna edit it from the brightest point at 100 essentially. So that way whenever I go from 0 to 100, it would be properly exposed and edited at 100%. But that way, if it looks grainy or anything like that, that's the purpose of it all. But just so you can see the difference of how much the intensity can be from it within that aspect. All right, let it be dark. 20%. Actually, I'm gonna go from 0 so that way. So one thing that I wanted to just showcase is with the variable ND filter, how to bring it almost to like the ND4 section. And before I had to be around like between the ND8 and the ND16, just so you guys know a little bit more of why it'll be properly exposed, so that you can see as well with the ISO and everything like that. But obviously you have to do a little bit less with the variable ND so you can kind of properly expose it in a bit. So I'm gonna have to turn this off to make sure it is right. Which actually I'm gonna have to now readjust it a little bit more. And now it's perfect. So I had to go to the ND4 of my variable ND. So if I go right here, you can kind of see it right there. So now we're gonna go, this is the 100X, 100 watts. I'm gonna turn it over to 0. And then from there, go back up all the way. So hold on. So I'm gonna go ahead and only expose it to the 200X, what it would be at 100% within the camera, where it'll be exactly at +2 for my S-Log3. And then I'm gonna bring up the 100X to showcase without changing anything at all, so you can see the difference of the intensity with that end like that. That way you can also see for yourself if it's worth it to get the 200 wattage or the 100 wattage for you. It might be hard to see, but it's just under the ND8 how I'm setting it up so that I don't have to move anything whatsoever. That way I can simply just leave the camera how it is, and you guys can see the examples just within the camera of the comparison without changing anything. I'll pretty much edit the footage of the 200x since that's what I'm obviously exposing it to, and that way you can see the comparison between both of them that way. Those were the examples using both lights to showcase how they look properly exposed, each at the 100% range from 0 all the way to 100 that way, because for me it just made sense to do that to showcase how it looks pitch black essentially all the way as it goes to the 100, incrementing so you can see as well the little bit of the waveforms within the camera to hopefully help you out how it looks that way. I also wanted to showcase it how it would be just simply exposing it for the 200 wattage all the way to the 100 range, and then starting from 0 to get to the 100, but then do it as well with the 100 light without changing any of the settings on the A7 IV with the variable ND. I had it just a little bit under the ND8 of my variable ND filter while having it at 3200 ISO, keeping everything basically the same throughout. Just the only difference was the wattage of the light, so that hopefully it'll give you a good example of how each light can perform. I know a lot of people want to know what camera lights to get so that they can use them, whether it's for portraits or for videography or anything, and understanding which wattage works best for you is something nice to know because you can invest the money correctly. Nobody likes investing money where it's just kind of going to waste and you're not using the light that you want to get or the gear that you're trying to use, and it just doesn't really hit the spot. So hopefully this video will give you a little bit more insight after doing it again, since I've done a video of this previously, but just wanted to kind of, I guess, touch base on this to make it a little bit better, since the other video did really great, but obviously there was a bit of, questions that I couldn't really do right, I guess, at the time because I was learning myself. So hopefully it'll clear up some things this time. Now, if you're asking me which one I would prefer, which I'm just gonna pretend you did ask because that's the whole point of this video, is personally, I just think I would go with a higher wattage. How I view things most of the time when it comes down to gear is I'm okay with having a little bit extra if it costs me a little bit more of the difference of what the previous would be, because it'll either A, last me longer, or B, it's just more powerful if I need it. But if I don't need it, I can always go under how it would have with the other previous, whether accessory, whether it's light or cameras or anything like that. So for me, I would just simply get the 200 wattage light because I can always decrease the percentage, when with the 100 wattage light, I'm not able to increase the wattage. So it's what you get is what you get. And it's always to have that extra security. It never hurt anybody. I don't know what you're going to be filming, but obviously if you click on this video, you probably have some questions of which one to get for yourself. And hopefully the video will give you a little bit more answers that way to know which one to go with. Maybe you're realizing that you need just a 100, maybe you're fine with a 200, or maybe this helped you realize that you need a lot more because you don't want to crank up your ISO, whether it's because of your camera's ISO base that is not the most ideal, or because you just want to make sure that you're always staying in a certain ISO for your camera to make sure that you shoot consistently a certain way. That's ultimately when it comes down to these types of videos for myself, is to be educational and helpful with the gear that I have and I've acquired myself, or sometimes I'm working with brands to try to help out and educate others as I'm learning myself as well. And we're learning into this journey together. So for me, like I said, I like the 200 wattage a lot more. I tend to use it a lot more often than my 100. So if that tells you anything, hopefully it'll help you out to, pick the right one. But now I'm curious to know, which one of these lights would you pick and why? Or would you go with something even more with higher potency of wattage? I would love to know your reasoning as to why you would go with either of these lights, or if you would need to get something with higher potency. Please leave a comment down below and let's have a conversation. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.